to the black community, because I think as a community we've lost our integrity, our honor, our loyalty, and our commitment. If I was who I am for black people, for the Mexican-American community, that school would have been done 3 years ago. If I was who I am to the Asian community, the Anglo-Saxon community, the Native American community, that school gets done the first year we purchased it. Mm-hmm. We're not sitting here 3.5 years after purchase, just now getting to the finish line and needing white people to get us there.
And what is the curriculum going to look like?
In addition to your required math, science, language, and social studies, we're going to have financial and economic science, critical, how to do your own taxes, real estate, international investments, business planning. Because as we've talked about before, going to college is not automatically a recipe for success, but it is automatically a recipe for debt. So for those young men who want to go to college, we want to give them that ability to do that, but we also want to give them other means of making an economic impact and survival plan for their lives. So nutritional, how to eat to live, a lot of your Dr. Sebi type of information, Dr. Laila Africa, rest in peace to both of them, that will be in there. Agricultural and agronomical, we're going to teach them how to grow. They have to grow their own food in order to graduate. We have to become agriculturally self-sufficient. In addition to that, spiritual and astrological science, I want our young men to understand how African people related to God before Abraham, before Jesus, before Muhammad. Those religions, in all due respect to all of them, they're only Christianity is 2,000 years old. Islam is 1,500 years old. Judaism is about 4,000 or 5,000 years old. But traditional African culture and spirituality is more than 250,000 years old. We dealt with God far longer from a non-Abrahamic tradition than we have from an Abrahamic tradition. Nothing's wrong from an Abrahamic tradition. Nothing's wrong with those. But I want our children to understand how we deal with the ancestors, how we deal with the earth and the land. And so we're going to have that. There will also be science of the black family. So that includes science of the black man, the black woman, the black child, how to be a gentleman, how to take care of your woman, how to raise your children, how to be a leader in the community. And of course, there will be military and political science, if I didn't mention that. We do want to teach them survival skills, traditional African martial arts, both with and without weapons, understanding the world that we live in. Why is Africa the richest continent, but in the poorest condition? Why was Barack Obama made president and it had nothing to do with America reinventing herself? Okay, why has multiculturalism been used as a weapon against African people? So we want to make sure that we are graduating well-rounded young men who can go anywhere in the world and build independent communities. We are a nation-building academy. We are not college prep. We are not military prep. We are not trade school prep. They will be ready for any of those. But above all that, we are nation-building prep.
Can you answer that President Obama question? I'd like to know the answer to that.
Political dichotomy, because it does not serve us and it wasn't created for our interests. That is a white intellectual conversation, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Our dichotomy is not democracy or republicanism. Our dichotomy is freedom or oppression. That's the black dichotomy. Who belongs to the Freedom Party? Who belongs to the House Negro Party? That's it. Look at the Congressional Black Caucus. 50 girls from YouTube ran to the Cherry Hill Mall and got sat down with the Snow Bunny.
Are you one of Dr. Umar's wives is what they were trying to figure out.
Look, and she told the truth, though. And I appreciated it. She said all he did was shop. I wanted to know who he was. Everybody was stopping to talk to him. He told me to go to YouTube Breakfast Club. And he was just confirmed.
Hey,
that
Dr.
was it.
Umar,
I picked up my bag and walked off. They didn't even show me walk off.
I don't think you realize how funny it is. That's like a Dr. Umar trap. We're going to set up the incense and the rocks, but when he go over there, Snow Bunny.
Yeah. So it was crazy, but I'm glad she was honest because she could have.
Yeah, absolutely.
She could have said he tried to get at me. You know what I mean? So
I think people think you hate white people. You don't hate white people. Yeah.
I have conversations with white folks all the time. Arabs, Chinese, East Indian. I have people who watch my work from all over the world. I was just stopped in the airport by an Asian who works for, what do you call the security? TSA.
TSA.
He came right over to me. I'm taking my shoes off. He said, hey, I'm a big, about 40-year-old Asian man. I'm not sure if he was Chinese or Japanese, but he said, I'm a big fan of your work. Keep on doing what you're doing. Asian. I had a group of white boys run up to me at the airport. I was in Dallas, Texas. Can we take a picture? I took the picture. Why do I do that? People say, why you take pictures when white folks stop you? Because it's important for the world to know that my agenda is not hate. My agenda is African liberation. I'm opposed to white supremacy. I'm not opposed to white people. My priority is my own people, but I have nothing against yours. I'm unapologetically African, but the problem is historically, any black man who is unapologetically African, Malcolm, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Stokely Carmichael, Huey P. Newton, anybody who is that way, we will automatically brand it as anti-everybody else. That is not true. We are Africans. We are the original humanitarians of the planet Earth. We have never been against another people, but I'm unapologetic. Economy with money, so the 233 is only worth 120 in about 24 hours. And then guess what they're going to do after they give the reparations to African people? They're going to find subsidy programs to get control of all black music must only be done through the black community. People would be a step back. If I was in charge of the reparations conversation, number one, control of all black music must only be done through the black community. No non-African can control our music. Prince, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Biggie, Tupac, if the publishing, if the marketing, if the promotion, if the recording is not controlled by black people, that has to change. We own our own music. Nobody can own, sell, produce, publish, promote black music but black people.
Why is that so important?
Because music is one of America's leading export industries. America makes more money off black music than almost anything else that she sells. So if we control the music, we have a steady stream of global revenue where we can build a black Wall Street in every single city in America for black people. That's how much money will be coming in from black music. That's one. Two, all black inventions return to us permanently. Everything we invented is a permanent patent for Africans. And if you want to use it, you must pay us a percentage. The cell phone, we invented that. Internet, that's ours. Helicopter, that's ours. Self-lubricating engine, the microphone, the stop sign, the walkie-talkie. Why are those lights on right now? Because a black man named Lewis Latimer wrote a textbook that taught China, the UK, Canada, and America how to light up a whole city at night. Without Lewis Latimer, you don't get street lights at night. You don't get constant illumination anywhere in the world. So guess what? Anybody running lights, you paying black people. Take back ownership of our music. Take back ownership of our inventions. Next on the list is all the confiscated lands. We had hundreds of thousands of acres of land stolen from us between 1865 and Malcolm's assassination in 1965. We need to put together a research team that's going to investigate all the land that was stolen from African people and return it back. Since most of our people are dealing with homelessness, we have the highest homelessness rate in black America since the 60s. If we can get our land back, that will go a long way to getting a lot of our single mothers and their children off the street. In addition to that, America has about 10 major exports: gold, oil, water, electricity. We get a 25% cut permanently. This is perpetual. Every time America makes a dollar, we get 25 cents of that dollar as part of the reparations payment. American Africans, 60% of us, make up 10 states. All 10 of the states that represent 60% of us are seaboarding states. We should automatically control the port so we know what's coming in, what's going out, and we also get a percentage of that. But here's my biggest issue with reparations. One, psychological damages. I'm not hearing enough of the reparations talking heads discuss enough about the psychological damages. You know you can get far more from what you're owed psychologically than you can ever get for 243 years of unpaid labor on the plantation. The psychological damage is what affects us the most. Every time you see a black man with a white woman, that's psychological damage. Every time you see a black woman with a blonde wig on her head, that's psychological damage. Every time you see a little black boy or girl playing with a white doll instead of a black doll, that's psychological damage. When you see a black man take the life of another black man, that's psychological damage. America owes us more for the psychological Holocaust than she can ever owe for the labor. So we need to talk more about that. In addition to that, I don't hear nobody talking about the role the Arabs played in the transatlantic slave trade. I don't hear anybody talking about the role that the European Jews played in the slave trade. I don't hear nobody talk about the role that the Catholic Church played in the slave trade. If we're going to talk about reparations, bring every group that was responsible, those who financed the slave ships.
That'd be Nigerians too, though.
Okay, let's talk about that. There was participation from some African kingdoms. We know that Dahomey, for example, which was popularized in the Lion King movie. The Woman King movie. There was some African participation, but guess what? The transatlantic slave trade was a European operation. It was controlled. It grew. It was financed by Europeans. When many of the African nations found out what was really being done to us, Because in Africa, there was no concept of chattel slavery. There was no such thing as owning people forever. There was no such thing as perpetual ownership of an entire family line or a bloodline. You understand? There was no such thing as being dehumanized. European slavery stripped African people of our humanity. There's no precedent for that in the world before European chattel slavery. They didn't know what they were getting into. They were wrong and can be held accountable. But let's not take the onus off of the true power structure behind slavery, and that was the white man.
I didn't say Portuguese.
Oh, Portuguese was in it. The Dutch was in it. The Italians was in it. The Germans was in it. Who didn't have a hand either in slavery outright or colonization that came after it? And when you factor in colonization with slavery, you can't possibly blame an African nation for that because they suffered during colonization as much as we did in slavery. So I reject any proposal that wants to make African people more liable for slavery than the white people who owned, controlled, expanded, and benefited.
Oh, I agree
from
with
it.
that. Yeah, I don't. They're definitely not more liable. It's just like you said. Everybody.
Nor are they equally liable.
Oh, equally. Everybody needs to be at the table.
Absolutely, but Africa don't owe us reparations. They owe us as a people internal reparations, just like we owe ourselves as a people internal reparations. Here's what I want to say. We are entitled to reparations. We will get it. But let us be clear something. Money isn't going to fix many of the problems that we have. Money isn't going to stop the back and forth accusations and tearing down that's going on all over the internet between black men and black women. Money not going to stop that. Money ain't going to make the black man love the white woman anymore. You understand me? Money is not going to remove the self-hatred complex that so many African people have within us. There's so much that we have to do on our own that money cannot buy. So anybody who thinks that I go out of my way to be careful with my wording so nobody can try to use it against me later. You have to try to control your narrative, and he will get on a platform and say some things that he may not even believe just for the shock value, and you're now giving the media the opportunity to brand you something that you are not.
That's even worse to me, though. If you don't even have no real intention or you don't even know what the hell you're saying, that's so anti-intellectual.
Well, the issue is Kanye, I think he's very brilliant, but I also think he's dealing with some unaddressed mental health issues
That
as
is
well.
true.
Class, none of them, LeBron, Puffy, none of them have built an independent black institution for the black community anywhere in this country. Not one.
How many lashes would Kanye get?
Kanye would probably get, I'm still working on Kanye lash count because I want to see where he ends up. I need him to make up his mind and then stay there.
Okay.
And I need him to be a little bit more articulate with what he says because although I think Kanye is on the right track, he's not articulating himself well enough. He's not controlling his public narrative. So when I do interviews like this or any interview, I go out of my way to be careful with my wording so nobody can try to use it against me later. You have where they pass at, Stephen A. Why are we protecting privileged white men? And you know what makes it so sad? Jerry Jones don't even have to defend himself. He got black men who will jump up. Did you see Michael Irvin? This Uncle Remus? Michael Irvin says, oh, he wasn't at the front of the line. So because he wasn't at the front of the line, he less racist than the ones who's at the front. Oh, he don't look like the guy with the cigarette in his mouth. Jerry Jones is a righteous man and a great man. All white people were that way back in the day. This is Michael Irvin. All white people were that way back in the day, so we supposed to get Jerry Jones a pass. There's nothing worse.
How many lashes for Michael Irvin?
Michael Irvin get about 5,000 lashes for that. No black man should ever volunteer himself, Stephen A. Smith and Michael Irvin, to play defense attorney for a white man. Jerry Jones ain't thinking about black folks. He has yet to speak up on social justice issues. He is a racist, and he should be forced to sell the team. But it's not going to happen. Why? Because it would take the players of the NFL to protest to force him out. And we already see that our NFL athletes and our NBA athletes don't have enough courage. They're more concerned with money than they are about the movement. And that's why I'm disappointed in Deion Sanders.
Hold on one second. I don't.
Of America's schools, he shouldn't be held accountable. Stephen A. says, since this happened 65 years ago, he should get a pass.
How many lashes for Stephen A. Smith?
Stephen A. is probably up to 150,000 lashes right now for his cooning. But listen.
The day to people that will criticize.
I know.
That's right.
And I'm coming right at it.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm coming right at it.
Let's go.
More lashes.
I'm coming right at more lashes. Stood against Colin Kaepernick's protest in 2016. I branded him a Negro peon.
He did?
Yes, he did. He said he did. I saw him say it out his mouth on an interview. He said he should not have taken that knee. It was wrong. Deion Sanders. I put him in the Negro peeing camp because he didn't stand with Colin Kaepernick. When I heard Deion Sanders was taking the job, I said, okay, I'm going to give him his black pass back. Because here you are, one of the top 5 greatest athletes, arguably the greatest football player ever, including Tom Brady. Deion could go down as greater than. You go to Jackson State, HBCU. That's impressive. Now I hear all of a sudden you might be leaving.
Well,
So
he's leaving.
Oh, he's gone.
He's going. Stay with me. He's wrong. But I have 2 levels of wrong. I got a low level and I got a high. I'll explain them to you quickly. My low level. If Deion told the administration and the students and the players at Jackson State that I'm taking his job, but I need y'all to know, if something better comes along, as soon as it comes along, I may be leaving you.
He did say that.
He said that.
If he was that transparent, I didn't see that.
I played the clip the other day. He said it on 60 Minutes. He said that.
No, he said he may be leaving. He did not say he was leaving after 3 years.
No, he said that if a Power 5 school comes along,
yes.
I have to entertain it. I would be a fool not to. And Deion has
That's
always
not
been
the same.
No, Deion has always been transparent and open about what his goals were.
That is not, no, I disagree with you. He told them if it comes his way, he would have to entertain it. He never said I would leave you that soon. He never said I can be gone in 3 years.
What does it matter, though? His contract was
I'm
only
going to tell you
4.
why it matters. I'm about to tell you right now why it matters. Because he damn wrong. Now, if he told them, if I'm going to go back and study some more, but from what I seen him say, he was not that direct. But if he was, and that's not what I saw, so we disagree there. But if he was, he's still wrong, but it's a low level because at least you was transparent and you gave him informed consent. They knew you could leave at any time.
That's right.
Okay? Still wrong. I'm explaining in a minute. Now, if he didn't tell them that, okay, and I'm hearing from people who know athletes on that team that they were not told it that way.
They weren't listening.
And they're upset.
Because he said that on 60 Minutes.
Okay? He didn't say it that way, Charlemagne. I saw that.
He did. That's an
not.
exact
No,
quote.
he didn't.
Exact quote.
If he did not do it that way, that automatically means that Deion Sanders used, abused, and exploited HBCU Jackson State just to be given an opportunity to show predominantly white institutions that he could coach. If he only used them as a stepping stone to getting a job at a white college, he was dead wrong. Now, let me tell y'all why this is bigger than football. What case is the Supreme Court reviewing right now?
The
right now,
affirmative action case against black, what is it, for black students in colleges?
Absolutely. The U.S. Supreme Court right now is reviewing whether or not racially conscious admissions in higher education are unconstitutional. And guess who is bringing the suit? Asians. But guess who's funding the suit? White people with connections to the 6 conservative justices on the United States Supreme Court bench. So, what they're saying is Asians are discriminated against on the basis of the personality aspect of the admissions process at Harvard and the University of North Carolina, among other universities, by subjecting Asians to that personality assessment, which includes personality, background, socioeconomic status, culture, this, that, who you are, what you want to be. Asians are being penalized for the high test scores and grades. So what the Asians want and what the white folks who are funding the Asians want is they want the Supreme Court to say you cannot include race at all as a factor in higher education admissions. If they throw that out, if they say Harvard cannot use the personality assessment portion of the admissions process, the percentage of Asians that get accepted into PWIs goes up by 20%, and the percentage of black students will plummet by at least 50%. You know what that means? You are watching the gentrification of black children off of the PWI campus. How is this relevant to Deion Sanders? The reason I'm so personally disappointed in Deion is I thought he was there for a movement, not for money. Meaning, Deion Sanders, the coach of Jackson State, I foresaw a situation where Deion would hire other coaches, other retired black NFL greats to coach other HBCUs. In doing so, you attract our top tier high school athletes to come to
Maybe.
HBCU.
Maybe.
Stay with me.
'Cause Eddie George is at Tennessee
Stay with
State.
me. Stay with me. Football and back. You know, like I know, if you got top tier NFL greats coaching HBCUs, the athletes are coming just like
Maybe.
they was coming for Deion. He showed you,
That's
Charlemagne.
Deion, though.
He showed
Dr.
you.
Umar.
And his other one's just
Deion,
as
one of the
great.
most famous people ever.
And his other one's just as great. So listen.
Eddie George at Tennessee State.
That's one person. We talking about a system, not an individual. So Deion and these other coaches bring all these athletes from high school to play football, basketball, so forth. The revenue of the HBCU goes up, Envy. As a result of the revenue going up, Charlemagne, the schools got more money. They don't have to subject themselves to closure. They don't have to subject themselves to being dependent on white money. You got HBCUs at risk of being closed. I read something that said almost a half of them. A half may not survive the decade. So this was bigger than football. This was about the survival of the HBCU.
It's bigger than Deion,
especially,
though, Dr. Umar.
no,
Yes,
no,
it is. I think
no. Stop trying to.
You're blaming
stop
an individual.
Trying to, stop trying to give celebrities a pass, Charlemagne.
But no, you're blaming an individual
I'm not
instead of talking
blaming
about
him.
the issue.
I'm blaming black men for not being men.
But you know what?
I'm blaming us for
Listen.
not being men. That was an unmanly move.
Can you admit one thing?
Deion could have went down in history, brother.
Are HBCUs chronically underfunded?
Of course.
Were they chronically underfunded before Deion?
Yes.
Yes.
Will they be chronically underfunded after Deion?
Yes.
Absolutely.
What are those reasons that they're chronically underfunded?
We don't get
Because
back.
we as black men have not come together to create the funding source to make sure they survive. I don't want to hear about the government. We have too many wealthy blacks.
That's one.
Y'all
Exactly.
interview them every
listen,
day.
I'm with you. So you got low
Alumni donors.
low alumni donors.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Low endowments.
Correct.
That's a us problem.
He part of us. Why you keep exempting celebrities?
But he's one
They're
person.
not better than us.
He's one person.
Okay, but the point is that one man could have been a catalyst for a movement that would have revolutionized the survival of HBCUs.
But why does the movement stop just because he left? HBCUs gonna still
You're
be here.
missing the point.
No, HBCU movement stopped just because he left. HBCUs gonna
You're
still be
missing
here.
the point.
No,
The
HBCUs gonna
abolition
still be
wasn't
here.
just about Frederick Douglass. But if Frederick Douglass would have pulled out, it would have hurt it. The Underground Railroad wasn't just about Harriet, but if she would have pulled out, it would have failed.
So what was the
civil
HBCU
rights movement
movement
wasn't
before
just about
Deion?
King.
Before Deion 3 years ago, what was
They
the
were
HBCU
struggling, and he could have helped save it. And for him to pull out of Jackson State the way that he did it before making sure the HBCU system survived, to me was selfish. He chose money over the movement, Charlemagne, and celebrities do it all the time, and y'all want to give him a pass. Nobody get no pass.
That's
I don't
very
care
unfair
who
to say.
Deion Sanders is. He had a chance to help, and he hurt, and y'all want to condone that because you black celebrities are not committed to the best interests of black
Well, let
people.
me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. When Deion was coaching high school kids for several years, you know, when he
We
was
ain't talking about that. We're talking about survival of HBCU.
I'm gonna get there. When he was coaching high school kids for several years, you know, black kids, when he was opening up Prime Prep Academy that got closed down because they had financial issues, when he went to Jackson State for $1.2 million for 4 years and said, you know what, y'all
He didn't even stay for 4 years.
But listen, y'all take half this salary and go
$600,000
build
back
a
into
better
a facility.
relax, go build a better facility for students, and he got to pay back $300,000.
And after all that, I'm still going to leave Jackson State for a super white college that got a 1.6 black student
But you ain't let me finish my point.
rate. No,
How can
no,
you-
wait.
how can you say he's about-
1.6 black students, which means the only blacks on that campus are the athletes, and you're going to tell me that that's a step up? You sold us out for money, bro.
How can you say it's about money when when his track record shows
He stayed
don't
for
pour
3
into
years.
kids
That
for
was
money?
no commitment. His track record shows that if white people give me the money, I'll turn my back on the HBCU
I disagree,
system.
Dr. Umar.
What are you talking about? That's what he did.
I disagree.
That's what he just did.
I disagree.
Come on, man. If he would have
I
stayed
disagree.
there, if Deion would have stayed there, like I said, he could have brought other black coaches in, former NFL greats. They would have raised the revenue of the HBCU, which is so critical now. Why? Because the Asians are being financed by white folks to kick what little blacks are left on the PWI campus off. So that means the critical importance of the HBCU is greater now than it's ever been. So for Deion to pull this right now makes it even worse because you're leaving the HBCU system when you had a chance
how many
to say,
lashes for Deion?
stop trying to exempt black celebrities
I'm not.
from accountability
No.
to the race.
No,
we gotta wrap
Celebrities are not above accountability. Stop,
I agree.
Charlemagne.
So how many lashes?
Stop.
How many lashes for Deion?
50,000 lashes for Deion.
Now,
many
no.
lashes for Charlemagne?
Shut up. More important question. How much you?
Oh,
No. How much you gonna donate to an HBCU today?
I'm building 2 independent schools. The first in its history.
No doubt, but those aren't HBCUs.
Whoa.
We still
Stay-
got,
whoa.
no. If you're gonna be that passionate about HBCUs, how much you gonna donate to an HBCU
Let me
today?
answer your question. May I?
Yes.
First of all, I'm not a multi-millionaire. Second of all,
Why you gotta be a
can I
multi-millionaire
finish
to
my
donate?
question? Can I finish my question? I donate to HBCUs on a regular basis.
Okay.
I do. But my point is, I'm focused on destroying the school-to-prison pipeline. I'm building 2 independent schools.
Supposed to do.
Okay, but we can't do that with people running away like Deion Sanders. That was a cowardly move. He was wrong.
How many
Your
lashes you
list-
say Deion get?
50,000.
And how much for Shannon Sharp?
Shannon keep cooning. Shannon gonna get about 100 by now.
Goodness.
Stephen
Okay.
A getting about 50,000. Candace Owens needs about 250,000 lashes. She out there doing documentaries on Black Lives Matter, which is appropriate because they were wrong for misappropriating that money. But where's Candace Owens' documentary on the Brett Favre situation or the Jerry Jones situation? My disagreement with my sister is she's letting white folks finance her to embarrass her people publicly. No black person should do that.
And also, I just want to tell you, Dr. Umar is going to be on my late night talk show this week.
sir.
Hell of a week.
And we're going to have a
I
hell
can't
of a
wait.
time.
Listen.
Envy, I want your list. TV. Parents, stop getting your children tested for special ed. I'm going to say this and I'm done. In the post-COVID era, we're seeing a surge of black children be put in special ed. The schools are exploiting the miseducation that our children were subjected to during COVID when they were home learning on the laptop, okay? And they're now using these academic losses as a justification for special ed. So I'm telling every black mother and father out there, if the school asks you to get your child tested, you tell the school that the reason my child is behind grade level in reading or math is because they didn't get adequate instruction during COVID. They're not going to special ed. Get them a tutor from that Title I money. And if your child doesn't go to a Title I school, you dig in your pocket and you pay for a tutor. They don't need an IEP. They don't need special ed. They need a tutor. If you need to reach me, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Black celebrities must be held accountable.
Make sure you watch Dr. Umar tonight on